Greetings to everyone. Let us cultivate wisdom in our minds, enriching the formless essence of life that resides within us. This essence is pure, clear, and utterly empty. Our mind is the original element, a luminous, refined substance that forms the foundation of all existence. The entire universe arose from this original essence of the mind. Before the universe existed, there was only the primordial element, pure, clear, and empty, the original essence of existence. It was not created by anyone, and it can never be destroyed. This luminous emptiness is the purest form of energy. At one moment, an immense explosion occurred, known as the Big Bang, where an unimaginable surge of energy erupted from this primordial essence. We too are part of that energy, originating from the same essence. At that moment, countless energies radiated outward, forming tiny particles that gradually came together to create larger and larger matter, eventually becoming stars, suns, black holes, solar systems, galaxies, and entire universes. Our consciousness, which is the same essence as that primordial element, attached itself to tiny particles of matter on one of these stars. This attachment gave rise to life, first as single-celled organisms, then two, then three, and eventually evolving into the life forms that exist today. Our consciousness is the essence of life, and when it resides within these particles of matter, those particles take on life and become living beings. As life forms evolved, they came to dwell within physical vessels, subjecting themselves to the laws of form, the need to consume in order to sustain the vessel. As this cycle continued, conflicts and emotions arose: anger, hatred, vengeance, stemming from the perception that this vessel is ours. We fight, hate, and retaliate because we mistakenly believe that the vessel is who we are. But in truth, we have forgotten that we are the mind, the essence of life, without form or shape. This is the heart of the matter. Why did our minds choose to attach themselves to these vessels, to these material forms? This attachment has led us to identify with the physical, forgetting our original nature. The question remains, why did our essence, pure and formless, become entangled with matter and become bound by the limitations of form? We have changed these vessels countless times. Every time the body, the vessel, breaks down and dies, the consciousness, the essence of life, drifts away in search of a new vessel, a new body. It learns anew, and then that vessel too disintegrates and dies. Once again, the consciousness drifts off to seek a new vessel, learns again, and that vessel eventually dissolves and dies. The consciousness continues to float toward new vessels, struggling to survive, to find sustenance, and then dies again. This cycle repeats endlessly, consuming and being consumed, harming and being harmed, filled with anger, hatred, and vengeance, continuing like this until the present day. In the earliest eras, there were no humans. Our consciousness took the form of various animals. Humans emerged only later, and they were very few. For the most part, consciousness resided in the bodies of animals, aquatic creatures, terrestrial beings, subterranean creatures, winged beings, beings in the sky, and perhaps even extraterrestrial life. If we were to pick up a handful of soil, the few grains in our fingertips represent the percentage of consciousnesses that became human, while the countless grains left behind in the earth symbolize the vast number of consciousnesses dwelling in the vessels of various beings. In essence, our consciousness has inhabited vessels both great and small, and the chance of becoming human is incredibly rare, almost impossible. But now, we are fortunate. We have been given the opportunity to dwell in a human vessel. Yet, we remain trapped in the same pattern learning, striving to survive only for this body to eventually break down and die. Our consciousness then drifts away to be reborn once more. The real question is, when will our consciousness end this cycle of birth? When will our consciousness awaken to the truth that we are, in essence, pure consciousness? Nothing else truly belongs to us. Everything else is external, impermanent. Isn't it enough? When will we decide that we no longer wish to be born again? Can we summon the courage to make such a vow that this will be our final life? Soon I will share how cultivating wisdom within consciousness can bring about this realization, allowing consciousness to finally break free from the cycle of birth. All of us, whether children, the elderly, the disabled, women, men, people of all genders, all ages, all castes, all statuses, all beliefs, all religions, all nations, and all races, can listen to the recording I have made. I speak only about the mind and the realization of the mind. I want everyone to learn this knowledge of awakening the mind, so that we may finally be free from the cycle of birth and liberated from suffering. I have no doubts left anymore. Before I realized the truth of the mind, I was just like everyone else. I had a family, struggled to make a living, and was caught up in the endless cycle of survival. But since I was a child, a question had always haunted me. Why were we born? I never knew how I came to be in this body. There was only ignorance, an endless state of not knowing. Why did we have to inhabit this body? What was the purpose of dwelling in this physical form? And why did some consciousnesses end up inhabiting the bodies of animals or other beings? Why do they take on different vessels? And when this body dies and disintegrates, where do we go? Our consciousness drifts away and is reborn, but into what? There was only the unknown. This question lingered in my mind. What is it that we truly seek? I believe all of us have experienced this. Some of us may have everything: a house, a car, a family, happiness. I was not lacking in anything. I was born into great poverty and struggled to survive, working hard until I built a life, had a family, and gained everything I could ever need. But despite having it all, that same question remained with me from childhood into adulthood. What is it that we truly want? No matter how much I acquired, it was never the answer. I had tasted all the pleasures, traveled far and wide, even visited foreign countries, and done everything there was to do, yet none of it was what I truly sought. So what is it that we are really looking for? We are the mind, the essence of life that is formless, pure, and luminous. We are the original element, the immortal essence, the 0-point element, where time, distance, and dimensions do not exist. This essence does not come or go, is neither born nor destroyed. It blends seamlessly with everything in the universe, a pure, clear element, like the emptiness that lies before us, intangible and invisible. We merge with everything. I search for a way to be free from suffering, to escape the cycle of birth and death. I had studied everything the world had to offer, but that was all. It was nothing extraordinary. I had wealth, and so what? I had knowledge, diplomas, and degrees, but what did it matter? I had a family, a house, and a car, but in the end I aged, grew ill, and this body would disintegrate and die. And so the question remained, what are we, really? What do we truly seek? Why are we dwelling in this vessel? And where do we go after this? These questions echoed endlessly in my mind, accompanied by an overwhelming sense of not knowing. I struggled to find a way out of this suffering until, at last, I awakened from within. When I awakened, I saw clearly that the voice speaking within me, this voice, it spoke on its own. It gave meaning and value to everything. It said, that is a house, that is a tree, that is a car, that is my father, my mother, my relatives, that is a person, that is an animal. This voice labeled everything. It spoke endlessly, always talking inside, constantly thinking about this, about that, about everything. But when I finally saw this voice, I realized that it was this very voice that created everything. It was this voice that generated the entire narrative of existence, and in that moment, an explosion occurred within me. Everything I had ever understood about being human dissolved, it all exploded and vanished. There was an immense sense of lightness, an indescribable emptiness, and an astonishing wonder. But then came a wave of confusion. If this voice is not me, then what am I? Where does the essence of me reside? And what do I do now? How do I live from here on? In the beginning, this realization was bewildering because I had never encountered anything like this before. It was as if I had stepped outside of being human, and yet this was just 25% of the journey beyond. There was still much more to unfold. At first, I had only broken free about 25%, but from that point, I began to see thoughts clearly. I saw emotions arising and passing away without being affected by them. I no longer cared about emotions. I was indifferent to happiness and indifferent to suffering. I saw that happiness and suffering were the same thing. Satisfaction and dissatisfaction were one and the same. No matter which direction the mind leaned, whether positive or negative, it was all the same. Regardless of the emotion that arose, it was all part of the same process. When I laughed, I could see clearly who was it that was laughing, who was experiencing this emotion. It was as if I had stepped outside of that experience. The emotions of satisfaction and dissatisfaction continued to exist as usual, but I saw that those emotions were not me. They belonged to something else. They arose on their own, did their own work, and dissolved on their own. Happiness came and went. Suffering came and went. It was their nature, not mine. Once I saw this, I no longer paid any attention to emotions. I focused only on that voice, the voice that constantly speaks, the voice that constantly thinks. Who is this voice? Where does it come from? Who is it that speaks all the time? I no longer cared about the meanings that this voice conveyed, but I became deeply interested in understanding who this voice was. Where did it originate? Why was it constantly talking? Who was this entity that kept creating a narrative inside me? If all of us could come to see and understand this truth, we would experience profound lightness, spaciousness, and peace. We would be free from all suffering. We would come to realize that we will never be born again. We would merge with the pure, clear, formless essence that permeates the entire universe. Grasp this principle well. See the voice that is constantly speaking within your mind, whether it is the voice you hear internally or the one that speaks aloud when you open your mouth. See it clearly. This voice assigns value and meaning to everything. We rely on this voice, living through it, mistakenly believing that this voice is who we are. But this voice is not ours. It is merely a form of energy, a vibration that emanates from the mind, from the pure, original essence. It is like the electric and magnetic waves that radiate from the sun, like the heat that bursts forth from the sun, like the light that shines from the sun, yet the sun itself knows nothing of these manifestations. Our consciousness is exactly the same. It is pure and luminous, while these outward expressions, vibrations, sounds, images, emotions, thoughts, memories, are merely the natural manifestations that arise from it. They surge and ripple outward continuously, just as heat and light emanate from the sun. We rely on these manifestations only to learn. That is all. These phenomena are not who we are. They are tools, vessels, and instruments. This physical body is also just a vessel. We are the pure, clear essence. We are consciousness. We dwell temporarily in this vessel, and we make use of these phenomena that surge and ripple outward as sound, mental images, emotions, perception, and memory. But in relying on these things for so long, we have come to believe that we are this voice, yet this voice is not us. It never was. When I first saw the voice that spoke within me and realized that it was the source of all the stories created in my mind, everything exploded. The knowledge I had once believed that I was a human being shattered completely. I was left in a state of confusion. Where was the real me? What was I really? I was bewildered and dazed, yet at the same time I felt an incredible lightness and spaciousness, as though I had merged with the entire universe. It was as if I had become like the air, blending seamlessly with everything around me. I was walking, yet it felt as though I was floating. I was confused and astonished by this experience. What was this? It was overwhelming and unfamiliar, but that was only 25% of the realization. Later, when I began to see emotions clearly, emotions of happiness and suffering, I saw how we all crave happiness and avoid suffering. But emotions are just that, emotions. They are merely manifestations that arise and ripple out from the mind. Emotions, the voice, mental images, they are all just manifestations. They are not us. They are simply tools, instruments that we use. But instead of using them as tools, we mistakenly attach ourselves to them and believe they are who we are. This attachment is what perpetuates the endless cycle of birth and suffering. It is absolute ignorance, utter foolishness. The day I saw this truth, I was stunned at how ignorant I had been. The truth was right in front of me the entire time, yet I couldn't see it. No one in this world had ever pointed it out or shown it to me clearly. When I first realized this, I felt a deep sense of anger at the mind's own ignorance. Our mind, or the essence of life within us, is indeed pure, but it does not know that it is pure. It does not realize its own true nature, because in this purity there is absolutely nothing. It is emptiness beyond emptiness, purity beyond purity. It is vast and immeasurable, beyond comprehension. This is the original essence that created everything in the universe. Everything was created from our consciousness. Do you realize that we are everything? We are the one within all, and all within the one. We are formless, a pure, clear emptiness that encompasses everything and all things across the infinite universes. We encompass it all: stars, suns, black holes, living beings, matter, elements, darkness, light, all dwell within our consciousness. We know everything, yet there is no self in that knowing. We perceive all, understand all, yet there is no self that knows, and nothing is claimed as being known. It is pure, untainted knowing, a knowing that is beyond grasping or ownership. In this place there is no self. Here there is no coming or going, no birth or death. There is no darkness, no light, only pure clarity, pure emptiness. It is the immortal essence, the 0-point element beyond time and space. It exists only in the present, right now, right here, before our eyes, before our hearts, in every moment. No one owns it, and yet it is us. But there is no language to express that it is us. It has no voice, no words to say, "This is me." We are this pure, clear essence, but it is beyond the capacity of language to convey this truth. Understand this: the word "we" that language uses is merely a tool for communication among humans, but once we transcend this realm, we will know with certainty that we are this essence, this pure, luminous element. Beyond words, beyond language, we will recognize that we are the eternal original essence. Let's try this. Let's remove this body entirely. Close your eyes for a moment. As soon as you close your eyes, everything disappears. The body is gone. Now what remains? Next, remove all emotions, happiness, suffering, neutrality, satisfaction, dissatisfaction, erase them all. What's left? Only mental images. Now, erase all those mental images that arise in the mind. What remains? Memories. Now erase all memories, every trace of what you've ever remembered. What is left? Only the voice that speaks within you. Erase that voice as well. No voice, no thoughts. Everything is gone. Where is the self now? What remains? Only awareness, the faint sense of knowing that still lingers. Now, erase even that awareness. Nothing remains. Where is the self now? Let the mind answer. When everything has been completely erased, what remains is pure emptiness of formless essence of life. And when the mind realizes, with complete clarity, that there is nothing that can be called me, a profound shift occurs, an inner explosion, a complete dissolution. At that moment, you will know for yourself the truth, that this pure, clear essence, formless, boundless, pervades the entire universe. And yet, it is alive. It is a living essence that is silent, clear, and pure, merging with all things. It is calm, serene, and all-encompassing. It is awareness. It is concentration. It is unwavering, awake, and radiant. This is life fully awakened, a life that is free from all connection to the body, to language, or to any form of constructed reality. It has always been this way. We are this pure essence. I witnessed this truth, and tears flowed uncontrollably. I long to tell everyone in the world to wake up, to awaken from this illusion. We have been lost in things that are not truly us. We have been deceived by things that have no real existence. It is like being lost in a three-dimensional world, the world of width, length, and height, of shapes and appearances. This world is a world of dimensions, of time, of distance. We have been caught in the illusion of forms, of assigning meaning and value to things. But do you know? We are not these things. We are beyond dimensions. We are the 0-point dimension, the 0-point essence. We are beyond time, beyond distance, beyond form, beyond everything. We are the original essence, the foundation upon which all things exist. Do you understand? Everything exists within emptiness. The universe, the stars, they all dwell within this pure, clear emptiness. The sun resides within this luminous emptiness. Even black holes exist within this vast, clear emptiness. Every particle of dust rests within this emptiness. Darkness and light alike exist within this pure, formless void. Everything moves and flows because of this emptiness that serves as the base, the foundation of all existence. The earth spins within this emptiness. The air moves through this emptiness. Cold and heat arise and dissipate within this emptiness. Even the sound of these words exists within this clear, empty space. Mental images arise within this emptiness. Emotions emerge and dissolve in this emptiness. Memory and perception, all of them exist within this emptiness, which is the original, primordial element. When I realized this truth, I felt an undeniable urge to record this knowledge for all of us to hear. I have been proclaiming this truth for over 10 years now, and many have listened to the teachings of the mind and the path to awakening that I have shared. So many people have listened to me speak just once, and their hearts burst open. Their minds were liberated, breaking free from suffering, from the illusion of self and identity. They were completely released, an indescribable experience. Many cried uncontrollably, overwhelmed by the wonder of this realization. Among them were children, the elderly, women, men, people of all ages and genders. It happens to all who truly see. We must share this truth widely, so that everyone in the world may hear the teaching of the mind, the path of awakening. We have studied countless fields of knowledge in this world, but none of them can free us from suffering. None of them can release us from the cycle of birth and death. We are born to age, to suffer, to die only to be reborn again. We are born into this world to consume and be consumed, to harm and be harmed. And then we grow old, fall ill, and die once again. Our consciousness drifts away, finds a new vessel, and begins the cycle anew. Everything resets, a new beginning, a new vessel, a new round of learning the same old lessons. And once again, we fall into the same cycle of consuming, fighting, hating, resenting, followed by aging, sickness, and death. Our consciousness leaves the body and seeks another vessel, and most of the time it ends up in the body of an animal. Then the cycle repeats endlessly. This has been happening for countless eons, an immeasurable span of time, stretching back to the formation of the first star in the vast, empty universe. Since that moment, this cycle has continued without end. Even when measured by the human concept of time, it is infinite. And if we do not awaken, this cycle will continue without end. We will remain trapped in this endless loop of birth and death forever. Isn't it enough? Have we not wandered long enough? Is it time to return home yet? When will we finally go home? Why do we remain lost in things that are not truly us? Why are we so attached to these vessels? Why are we entangled in emotions, in satisfaction and dissatisfaction, in anger, hatred and vengeance? Why are we lost in this voice we use to communicate? Why do we become so absorbed in the mental images that arise within us? Why do we cling to memory and perception as if they were ours? All of these are external, yet the original element that resides within the pure, luminous essence that is our true nature remains unknown, unseen, and unrealized. When will we finally return home? Home is within us. It is the formless, empty, and pure essence, the original element from which all things arise. It is simply waiting for us to awaken. When we awaken, we will see that all these manifestations, the voice that speaks aloud, the thoughts that constantly chatter, the images, emotions, and perceptions are not us. We will see that the voice that speaks aloud does so by itself, thinks by itself, and functions naturally. It is like an officer assigned to think; it simply performs its duty. But this officer is not us. It is just another aspect of nature, performing the task of thinking and speaking. It creates language as a tool for communication with others. It generates thoughts in the form of inner speech. Can you see it? Can you recognize that this officer is doing its own work? It is not us. The mental images that arise, not us. The emotions, whether satisfaction, dissatisfaction, or neutrality, are also just processes generated by natural functions. These are merely manifestations performing their respective duties, arising and dissolving on their own. They appear, function, and fade away by themselves. We don't need to do anything. We simply need to see and know them for what they truly are. We just need to awaken from within and recognize that none of this is us. The mental images we conjure, the emotions that arise, the memories that we hold on to, all of these are functions that operate naturally. They are energies that ripple and surge outward from the pure essence within us. Even this awareness that perceives everything right now, this knowing that hears these words, is also just another process that happens by itself. Can you see it? It perceives sound on its own. It hears and knows by itself. It smells through the nose, perceives through the tongue, senses heat and cold, softness and hardness through the body, all by itself. It sees through the eyes without any effort. We don't need to deliberately try to hear, just observe. It hears naturally. It perceives naturally. So where is the self? Where is the me? Can you find it? When you see this clearly, everything will be just as it was for me. It will explode and shatter completely. In the beginning, I only glimpsed it when I first saw my thoughts. Everything exploded. That was just 25%, and yet I felt an immense sense of lightness and spaciousness. I saw how emotions, satisfaction and dissatisfaction, happiness and suffering, merit and sin, good and evil, right and wrong were all the same. When I realized how ignorant I had been, I had always believed that these emotions were different, but in truth they were one and the same. They were like positive and negative waves, like the north and south poles of a magnet, like high and low, like black and white, like darkness and light. Emotions are just like that. They are fabricated pairs, always arising in duality. These manifestations that surge out from the mind, from the pure original essence, they always manifest as pairs. Our mind, in its purest form, is a singular, unified essence. It is never divided. It is always one, always whole. It is awake, fully alive, and in harmony with everything. But the energy that radiates outward from this pure mind, this energy that surrounds our consciousness, behaves like magnetic fields that create polarities. There are always opposites, positive and negative. This is why we are constantly drawn to think in terms of opposites, truth and illusion, right and wrong, real and unreal. Whatever meaning or value we assign to these concepts, we always end up thinking in terms of two sides, positive and negative. Our thoughts always drift toward these dualities. Our emotions too fall into these patterns, positive and negative emotions, happiness and suffering, satisfaction and dissatisfaction. These manifestations always arise in pairs. They are naturally dualistic. But the moment I saw that emotions were one and the same, an incredible lightness filled me. It was as if a light bulb had gone off within me. Everything became clear, and a profound sense of freedom and spaciousness arose. I understood in an instant, and everything became effortlessly light and open. Then it became clear, oh, what have we been so lost in? There was nothing there. It was as if we had been deceived, but in truth, we deceived ourselves. Our consciousness, this essence of life, is pure, yet it is full of ignorance, and because it does not know, it seeks to learn. Our consciousness, this life element, longs to know because it does not realize that it is already the pure essence. To put it simply, we do not know that we are the formless, clear, and pure life element. Instead, we have come to believe that we are human. But this body, this vessel, is not us. It is merely a vessel that we temporarily inhabit. When this body disintegrates, where is the self? Try removing this body, where is the self now? We are the life element, the pure consciousness. We are not connected to this physical form in any way. We merely dwell within it temporarily, just like living in a house or riding in a car. The car has a horn, music, an engine, and the ability to move just like this body, which can speak, hear, think, and move, but we are merely passengers. We reside in this robotic vessel, and like all machines, this body does not last. It eventually rusts, breaks down, and dies. Our body deteriorates over time and eventually disintegrates. But while living in this vessel, we came to believe that we were this body. How profoundly ignorant we have been. We didn't even choose our name, our parents gave it to us. They never asked if we wanted that name, and yet we believed it. Oh, so my name is this? And we actually accepted it. Not only that, we went on to create documents to record this name. We have a name, a surname, an identification number. We are this numbered being, the child of so-and-so, part of this family, living in this house. They even gave us an ID card because they were afraid we wouldn't be part of their system. And we believed it. We believed that we were this number. Do you see? And then they taught us how to think, how to remember, and how to use language. And now we are completely bound by this language. From the moment I started speaking until now, it's all just this voice speaking, isn't it? This voice has been narrating everything. And yet, who is this voice? Is it us? We rely on this voice. It thinks, imagines, and plays with emotions. Satisfaction, dissatisfaction, happiness, suffering. From morning to night, we are caught in this endless cycle. One moment we feel satisfied, the next dissatisfied. One moment we are happy, the next suffering. Then comes anger, hatred, resentment, vengeance. Suddenly we feel joy, delight, and excitement. Then we slip into neutrality. Emotions keep shifting back and forth. When happiness arises, where does suffering go? When suffering arises, where does happiness disappear? Does emotion have a form, number? You cannot grasp it, can you? It arises on its own and disappears on its own, doesn't it? Happiness and suffering, they appear and vanish by themselves. No one owns them. Do emotions have a shape? Can they be touched? Can they be molded into a solid form? Happiness and suffering, satisfaction and dissatisfaction, they are like the wind. They have no form. Warm wind, cool wind, it's all just wind. It passes by and moves on. Do we need to do anything with the wind when it passes? When a warm breeze blows by, do we need to do anything? When a cool breeze passes, do we try to hold on to it? But instead we foolishly cling to emotions. I am suffering so much, I'm in pain, I'm hurting. Why are we hurting? Why are we suffering? Why do we cry? I'm in pain because they left me. But who left who? Where is this self? Where is the I that is hurting? Where is the one who left? And where is the one who was left behind? Can you point to where this emotion resides? Let me ask you something. Where exactly is the suffering? Show me. Mold it into something and show me what it looks like. Where is it? What does suffering look like? Can you bring it out and show me? You can't, can you? Because suffering has no form. It doesn't exist as something tangible. So why do we suffer? Wake up. We are just playing with thoughts, can't you see? Imagine this, we think of someone we like. We imagine them in our mind. We like them, but they don't like us back. And because they don't like us, we create a story around it. We think, they don't like me. And from that thought, suffering arises. Deep pain pierces the heart as if a knife is cutting through it. But where is the wound? Is your heart actually wounded? Number. We are just playing with emotions, creating illusions within our own minds. Can you see that? The voice that speaks now belongs to no one. This voice has no self, no substance, nothing to grasp. Yet why do we cling to this voice and call it ours? Such a simple matter. If you don't understand it, I suggest you take a shower, go to bed, and when you wake up, listen to my tape again. For anyone who listens to my tape and still doesn't understand, just go take a shower, rest, and then listen again. When you do this, things will begin to change. Suddenly, a spark of understanding will arise, and you'll feel a lightness, a relief, and tears will flow. You'll wonder, why was I so foolish? You'll cry deeply. Just give it a try, listen with an open heart. I've spoken clearly. Many people who listen to my tape experience this shift within 7 days. It's as if something explodes inside and they become free from the illusion of self. They realize they are pure, radiant and transparent, merging with the entire universe, with no suffering left. Many others experience this within a month. But if anyone listens for more than a month and still doesn't understand, follow my advice. Take a shower, rest, and listen again. Do this about 5 to 8 times. Eventually things will change. Tears will flow, and you'll exclaim, why was I so ignorant? The understanding will strike, and you will feel light and free. When we realize that this voice is not ours, that even the mental images we conjure are not ours, that emotions are not ours, and that even the awareness that knows all this is not ours. Nothing is truly us. When we see that nothing belongs to us, even this voice that speaks is merely a means to communicate with all of you, to tell you that this voice is not real. Right now, no one is speaking, and no one is listening. Where is the self? Let the mind answer that. This voice does not truly exist. Even the sense of being a self is not real. This is the essence of life, formless, empty, pure, and boundless, merging as one with the universe. Understand this deeply. Let this understanding pierce your heart. When the mind finally accepts this truth, an explosion of realization occurs, and you will be free from the illusion of self. Now, visualize this clearly. Our mind, our essence, is a pure, transparent element. For this pure life element to understand its own nature, it needs to create a tool. We need a form, we need conditioning, because our true nature is beyond expression. It is a silent, speechless nature. It cannot speak, cannot imagine, has no emotions, no memory, no awareness, nothing at all. It is pure, absolute purity, merging seamlessly with the entire universe. We are this ultimate purity beyond even the concept of supreme bliss. It transcends both happiness and suffering, beyond all concepts and all things. It is the awakened pure life element. When we speak of purity, this is true purity, utterly free from any trace of suffering. Try to understand this deeply. Imagine it as a drop of water. We are like a clear, round drop of water. Imagine this drop floating before you. This drop has separated from the vast ocean. We are that single drop. But if we return this drop to the ocean, it becomes the ocean itself. Where is the drop? We cannot find it anymore because it has merged completely with the ocean. Do you understand? This is like the clear emptiness of our mind, merging with the vast emptiness that pervades the universe. If we truly understand that we are this clear, empty essence, we become the entire universe. The entire universe resides within us. We are this pure, empty clarity that encompasses everything. No one can distinguish us from it, but we know we are that clear essence. Understand this deeply, because in this realm there is no language, only pure awareness, ever present with us. But we have never turned inward to recognize it. It's time to learn the science of awakening the mind, the science of the life element. Everyone should listen to my tape, listen to the teachings about the mind. I have explained it clearly. Listen until you see that there is absolutely nothing that is you. When the mind reaches this point, it will explode, releasing itself from the illusion of self. The moment we realize that we are not human, that this voice is not us, that the mental images, emotions, and awareness are not us, when nothing remains as us, that is when we break free from the illusion of self and realize that we are the pure life element, merging with the entire universe. This realization brings about tremendous wonder, but do not get caught up in it. Do not mistakenly think that you have become some divine being. Let me be clear, you are nothing. You are the formless life element that merges seamlessly with the vast emptiness of the cosmic essence. This is the return home. We are nothing. There is no trace of self left in anything. Yet while we dwell in this world, we continue to use this body, this vessel, until it eventually disintegrates. We rely on this voice, these mental images, emotions, and awareness to communicate in the world, but none of it contains a self. There are only processes, pure functions that operate every day, but there is no you behind them. There is still pleasure and pain. Speech continues as usual. Thoughts still arise. Pain is still felt. Hunger still occurs, but none of this belongs to a self. It's just phenomena arising and passing, For those who haven't fully grasped this yet, hold on to this understanding for now. When the time comes, you will know for yourself exactly how it is. It is like we are asleep, dreaming that we are human living in a world with families, stories of good and evil, right and wrong, truth and falsehood, endlessly consuming, killing, and being consumed by each other. But when we suddenly wake up, oh, everything we believed about being human was just a dream. It was never real. The pain, the suffering, the cancer we thought we had, it was all part of the dream. When we wake up, we cry and wonder, how could I have been so foolish? It feels as if we've been dreaming for so long, never waking up, believing the dream was real. But when we awaken, we weep with realization. We want to tell everyone who is still asleep to wake up, but they remain asleep. And so I keep speaking, explaining, and pointing the way. We must learn the science of the mind, the science of awakening. Listen to my tapes, listen constantly, whatever you're doing. Those who attain direct knowledge of the mind will experience an inner explosion that breaks apart the illusion of being human. They will realize that they are beyond birth and beyond suffering. Everything becomes clear, even things we never imagined possible to see. When we reach the pure essence, we will know everything. You want to know about the nature of the soul, about the countless consciousnesses waiting to be reborn. When you reach this realization, you will see it all. You will even be able to lead these souls beyond the cycle of birth. But this level is for those who have undergone deep training and detailed learning, those who have listened to my teachings extensively. Over time, it unfolds naturally. For those who have not yet realized the truth, continue to listen. This is the science of awakening the mind, a science measured by practice, by the one who truly realizes the nature of the mind and knows with absolute clarity that this mind will no longer be reborn. It is an indescribable wonder when the illusion of self is completely shattered, when one breaks free from the grip of identity. Therefore, all of us must understand the mind, awaken to the truth of the mind. We all possess a mind, yet we do not know it. Isn't that pitiful? We know everything about the world, about other people, about the universe, but we do not know the mind, the life element that is formless, empty, pure, and the source of all. We know everything, but remain ignorant of the one thing that truly matters. If we do not realize that we are pure essence, when this bodily vessel disintegrates, the life element that we are will drift away to seek a new body, to be reborn and begin again. We may even be born as animals, who will never be able to understand this profound truth. Only human beings can comprehend this, because humans have evolved to use language to communicate and share understanding. But as animals, how would we communicate? How could we talk to termites, millipedes, ducks, or chickens? How would we teach them? It is impossible. Only as humans do we have this opportunity. We are incredibly fortunate. So awaken to this truth. Now it's that simple. Yet look at the world today, full of chaos, violence, and destruction. People are consumed by the desire for paper, which we call money. They fight over food, even though the earth is abundant. They fight over land, water, and air. We destroy and consume each other, fueled by anger, hatred, and vengeance. When someone harms us, we grow angry and hateful. When we harm others, they feel the same. This cycle of consuming and being consumed, of hating and being hated, goes on endlessly both for humans and animals alike. Because whether as humans or animals, we are still driven by the mind. When this body decays, we may be reborn as animals, and when they consume us, how will we feel? We will hate and suffer all over again. This cycle never ends. We are born only to struggle, to be slaves to this body. We are born as slaves to money, bound to this mechanical vessel we call the body. We live trapped within the prison of various forms, endlessly chasing after food, lost in anger, hatred, and vengeance. And yet, no one in this world teaches us the science of the mind. We must transform ourselves now. We must come to know the mind. From now on, we should only talk about the mind. Every one of us, if we do not know the mind, if we have not awakened to it, if we are not free from suffering and rebirth, our situation is truly tragic. Everyone must awaken to the mind. Everyone must go beyond birth, knowing with absolute clarity deep in their heart that this mind is beyond birth, beyond suffering. Then, why would we continue to suffer? Emotions are not ours. Emotions have no self. They are merely passing phenomena. There is no self within them. Now let's return to the discussion about the mind or the life element for a moment. Imagine that we are like a drop of clear water, or think of us as a pure, transparent essence. Within this drop of clear water or pure essence, there is a surface tension. This surface tension reacts when something touches it. It generates a response, causing ripples on the surface of this clear essence, just like ripples on the surface of water. If you place a drop of water and blow on it, or touch it gently, the surface will ripple. This is the nature of surface tension. It is a natural property of water. Our mind is exactly like that. Imagine it as a pure, transparent essence with surface tension. This analogy helps humans understand, because without it, they would never comprehend. But instead of recognizing this, we mistakenly believe we are human. We have never been human. We have never actually been born into this world. We are the mind, the pure life element. Understand this clearly. It's so simple. When will we stop clinging to the idea of being human? When the body disintegrates and we become a dog or a cat, we foolishly believe we are a dog or a cat. What then are we? Dear mind, you have never been male or female. You have never been human. You have never been an animal. You have never had a form or an identity. You have never had a name, a surname, or an age. You are a pure, transparent essence. The mind has never been old or young. It has never been a child, an adult, or anything at all. But we think we are aging. We think we are growing old. Yet the mind never ages. It has no name, no identity. When this mind, this pure life element, is touched by something, bang, it perceives and a ripple forms on its surface. This ripple is the sound that emerges when we open our mouths to speak. It is a ripple. Mental images are ripples. Emotions are ripples. They arise and then fade away. Just like when something touches a drop of water, the drop ripples and then returns to stillness. Can these ripples do anything to the water? Number. Just like waves in the ocean, can they harm the water? Strike the surface of the water with a stick, does the water feel pain? Number. The water is not hurt. You can hit it hard, causing waves and splashes, but the water itself remains unaffected. It is only the surface of the water that reacts and shows movement, but the water remains as it is. Our minds are exactly the same. All thoughts, emotions, and perceptions are just ripples on the surface of the mind. They arise and then disappear. They have no power to alter the essence of what we truly are. It is exactly the same. When someone says something to us, the mind perceives it immediately. A ripple arises, thoughts emerge instantly, and understanding follows. Along with that understanding, emotions arise: satisfaction, dissatisfaction, anger, hatred, vengeance, joy, delight, contentment, happiness, or suffering. All of these emotions are merely ripples on the surface of the life element. They ripple and then dissolve. We are not any of these things. Here's another analogy. Have you ever noticed the clear empty space in front of you? You cannot touch it. Within this clear empty space, air resides. Oxygen and carbon dioxide dwell in this emptiness. Cold air, warm air, all these phenomena exist within the clear empty space. Cold air and warm air fluctuate, change, and are never the same, but none of these changes affect the clear empty space. The empty space is not the air, but air dwells within it. The air may move violently, forming a tornado, yet the clear empty space remains unmoved and unaware. Even if we were to detonate a nuclear bomb right in front of us, an explosion so powerful that it shatters bodies into tiny fragments, causing the air to move with immense force and destroy everything in its path, even this body would disintegrate. Yet the mind, the life element that is pure, clear, and empty, remains unaffected. The clear empty space before us is unchanged, unaware of anything that has occurred. It remains as it always was, untouched, unmoved, and unaffected by any of these events. If we imagine that within the clear empty space, where there is absolutely nothing, only pure emptiness, someone of immense merit and great wealth walks by, this pure emptiness remains completely unaware. It does not receive any merit or benefit from the presence of such a powerful or wealthy person. Likewise, if a vile and impure individual, stained with all kinds of evil, filth, and wickedness, walks by, this pure, empty essence is also unaffected and unaware. It knows nothing of good or evil passing by. We are that very element, the life element, formless and untouched, completely uninvolved with this world of illusion. This world is a realm of forms and appearances, arising from and dwelling within the original essence. And we are that original essence, formless, pure, and transparent. To awaken to our true nature, we must see clearly that everything is not us, not ours. Everything is external. It's time to go home. Home is within. As I've told you before, we have mistakenly identified ourselves with this robotic body, perceiving the world through it, and assuming everything we see is part of us. But if we turn inward, deep within, we will realize that even this body is external. Can you see it? This body is not us. Close your eyes and observe what you visualize in your mind is also external. Go deeper still. Can you see that emotions, whether satisfaction or dissatisfaction, happiness or suffering, are also external? They are merely phenomena being observed. Now the mental images we create, the thoughts that arise, these too, are external. All the memories we have stored, all the stories we have held onto, these are external. Look deeper, step inward again. Even the voice that speaks now, the sound being heard, is merely something being observed. It too is external. What remains? Go deeper, step inward until you reach the core. What is left? Can you see that what is aware is simply aware on its own? It perceives through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. This awareness itself is also external. When you reach the point where there is no further to go, that is the innermost core. This is the life element that never speaks. Everything else is external awareness, thoughts, emotions, and sounds. But the essence that lies deep within this is who we are. We are the mind, the life element, formless, empty, pure, and infinitely radiant. That's why I always say there is absolutely nothing that is us or belongs to us. If this body disintegrates, the voice disappears. Mental images, emotions, and awareness all vanish. What remains is only the memories embedded in the mind, which we mistakenly hold on to, thinking, this is me, this is mine, I am happy, I am suffering, I am satisfied, I am dissatisfied. We become engrossed in these illusions, and the mind, or the life element, drifts away, seeking a new body to continue learning. This cycle continues endlessly until it finally ends when we come to realize that we are the pure, transparent life element. When we awaken to the truth that we are this pure, transparent essence, we clearly see that even the voice that speaks is not ours. For example, when we think, "What should I eat today?" can you see that the thought arises by itself? It speaks on its own. When we become aware of it, it doesn't change anything. If we are not aware of it, it still doesn't change anything. Whether we notice it or not, the thought arises and dissolves, passing away. Even the voice speaking right now has already passed. Everything is merely fulfilling its function. So where is the self? Look closely, everything is doing its work. The voice arises, performs its task, and then it's gone. Mental images arise, do their work, and disappear. Emotions of satisfaction arise, do their work, and pass away. Dissatisfaction arises, performs its function, and is gone. Memory and perception arise, do their work, and then fade away. So where is the self? Can you see that all these phenomena operate on their own without any self involved? Do you see that even now it knows by itself? It has already known, and that moment has passed. Can you see that the present moment is pure, clear emptiness? It is not anything or connected to anything. There are only phenomena arising in this moment, dissolving in this moment. They appear now and vanish now. What is there to hold on to at this moment? You can't find anything because there is nothing that truly is, only emptiness remains, moment by moment. When we realize this truth, we will have passed the ultimate test of awakening to the mind. All of us must win this game. We must awaken to the essence of our life element. We can only awaken when we see that nothing, absolutely nothing, is us or ours. Even the thought that says, "Ah, I understand now," who understands? Can you see that no one understands? When we realize that there is no self to understand, that even we do not exist, it is truly over. Everything collapses. It's as if the very foundation of the knowledge that once convinced us we had a self is shattered from the heart. It all explodes until not even the slightest sense of self remains. What's left is pure, boundless purity, vast and immeasurable, merging with the entire universe. When we reach this point, we will know everything. It's time to go home. O minds, return to your true home. It is now the right time to bring this to a close. May all of us, everyone who sincerely and resolutely desires to be free from suffering, never to be reborn again, awaken to the pure essence within. May we all realize the truth of the mind swiftly and completely. May this realization come to each and every one of us without delay. If you're interested in these teachings on awakening, mind observation, and transcending suffering through wisdom, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your insights in the comments, provide productive feedback, and if you find this content valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.